Welcome to the Super Feeler podcast. If you are just tuning into this episode and you didn't listen to last week's episode, I highly recommend you go back and listen to last week's episode. It was with Anita as well, and Anita was talking a lot about the impact of their childhood, their journey with substance use, mental health challenges, getting diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and the impact of sports, all sorts of things. In this episode, we're going through the rest of their story, talking a little bit about their experience at Heartwood Treatment Centre, as well as a lot of interesting conversation about gender identity and what that means for them. So yeah, if you haven't listened to the previous episode, please do that. And if not, enjoy this episode.
It was only a few months before Heartwood, I started considering that I might have childhood trauma, like just considering it at all. And she's like, yeah, well, obviously, you had this. Of course you're going to react the way you do. And I didn't even realize I felt unsafe my entire life until I was at Heartwood. And safety is the biggest, most important thing there. Like, nobody can work on themselves. And yeah, so they're so adamant about it.
So I wanna like pause for a second. Because I know what Heartwood is.
Oh yeah.
But the listeners aren't going to know what Heartwood is. So you've alluded throughout this whole time together, like Heartwood was this kind of, I don't know if I'm putting words in your mouth, but like make or break point, kind of like this was the turning point. Just to reiterate, you are, before you go to Heartwood, so you get referred to Heartwood from your family doctor. It takes 3 months-ish to get in.
Yeah, I was told it could take like up to 6 months. Yeah. And I'd find out like a week before, if that.
Okay. And then Heartwood is a treatment center, women only, although trans inclusive, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Substance use program that's like 90 days-ish, give or take.
Yep, 90 days, yeah.
In Vancouver. And what's really funny, and we can cut this if you don't want me to put this in, but I think I was there on your first day.
No shit.
It was my first day going there to visit for another reason. And I walked up, or I got out of the elevator, and you were kind of there, like, looking, like, nervous.
Was I on the couch?
And, yeah.
Oh my God. I was so terrified.
And you looked terrified. And I remember going like, ooh, this person is really brave to be here.
Newbie.
And like, I'm with this person. I could tell, right? You're a newbie. I get it. And I'd never been there either. So I was like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know who this person is. But anyways, just kind of a funny full circle moment.
No way.
Yeah. And I don't know why, but I remember you like from that couch in that moment. So it's a substance use and mental health treatment that you're going for. So like, tell me what the program looks like, what your experience was for people that have never heard of it before. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be one of those people that has, I don't want to say nothing but good things to say about Heartwood, but like pretty close. Besides the things that you just can't get away from, like communal living.
Yeah, fair.
Boy, yeah.
You could be communal living in Disneyland and it would still suck. So like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I kind of did a bit of research before because like somebody referred me to Heartwood, but I didn't know about any other treatment centers. Like, how do I know this is the best one? How do I know that this is actually going to go well? Like, what is this treatment center? Is it just like, you're bad for doing substances, stop doing substances? Like, I had no idea. So I did a lot of research, and Heartwood, at least online, was by far the most, they were like, yeah, we understand it's not a substance issue. It was substance issues and mental health. They had DBT. They had counseling once a week. Everyone had their own counselor. They had all these different things. They even had acupuncture and a music therapist.
Wow.
And they had a video up, which was funny because it was by BCMHSUS. Yeah. Side note. Anyways, I watched that video and I saw a guitar in that video, and that was like, okay, I can go there. Because if they don't have a guitar, I have to be able to bring my guitar, or I can't go there.
Right.
Like, I can't.
Yeah, or else you just won't go. Yeah, fair enough. There's some make or break things, right?
Yeah. This is like one of my coping things. So on paper, it looked really, really good. And it was like, it completely blew my mind. When you saw me on that couch, like I flew out to Vancouver from Cranbrook here. Went from the airport by SkyTrain to Heartwood. I got an Uber from there, from the station to Heartwood. And that whole trip was just like, I was by myself, so in my head of like, this is your low point. You're going to rehab. Like, this is where you're at in your life. And was so judgmental of myself. And I had no idea. So Heartwood actually, one of the things that they said was they only accept people who have been to treatment before and it hasn't worked. So I was terrified that they wouldn't accept me. And on my intake form, I was like, no, super duper gay. I have issues with men. I know I have issues with men. Maybe not as much anymore. And I didn't realize that until I got there. And this place was like phenomenal. And then my friend who works in like social work here, I was like, I need to call her and tell her like, I found your dreamland, because like, it's everything you want a social workplace or a treatment center to be. And the big thing that hit me was every single staff member wanted to be there. It was obvious.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. I didn't see that at the psych ward at all. Although the one nurse, we were friends anyways. Yeah, the nurses were all happy to be there. The higher ups, like the management was really, really dope too, and actually engaged with us and wasn't just like a manager down the hall in an office.
Yeah. So important.
Yeah. The rules that they laid out was like, oh my God, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And once after that the first 6 hours, I was shitting myself. And I'm like, I'm in with all these women who know what treatment is. I have no idea.
Right.
I have not a damn clue what I'm getting into. I live alone. I like living alone. I like my personal space. Not too much, obviously, but that was a huge thing. Living in a room with, at one point, it was just one other person. At another point, it was 3 other women. You've got no personal space. I can't schedule my cries. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
Like, you can book a room for yourself if you need personal space, but
I honestly, I don't think I could do it. Like, I had to go to treatment for just like mental health treatment in August and September of this year because I had a major suicide thing. And the first thing I said, because I'd been to Heartwood before and I saw I don't know if I've seen the rooms, but I know that it's like 4 people to a room. And the first thing I said when I called them was like, do I have my own room? And they're like, yes. I was like, okay. They're like, you do not have your own bathroom. And I was like, I'll take what I can get. I'll take my own. Like, I was like, I don't know if I could do it. Like, I'm like, good for you guys for doing it. But oh my God, that would be so difficult for me.
Yeah.
I need personal space. I don't even like talking to my husband some days because I just want to be by myself all day. Like, truly, like we sometimes will go like almost an entire day without talking to each other because I just like to have headphones in and just not talk, you know?
I totally understand. Everybody has those days where it's like, no. I need to live in experience of myself and just myself today. That's all I can handle.
Exactly.
I totally get it. I actually was very close to leaving because of it. Like I said, particular person. I like to be tiny, and you don't get that at treatment centers at all. And I was like losing my mind. And I remember talking to my counselor, and she was like, "Yeah, well, I mean, you can be upset about it, but you being upset about it's not going to change the situation. Like, you have 3 choices. She was obviously more empathetic about it. You can leave, you can stay and be angry about it and let it affect your treatment, or you can learn to manage it and cope with it and still get your treatment." And I, within the first few days, knew what I had. I knew that this was a place that was actually going to help me. This place was going to, like I said, I've been screaming for help for years. This was everything I've ever dreamt of and ever wanted. I was not letting anyone or anything, including myself, get in the way of that treatment. Nothing. Too stubborn.
Well, and you don't know, like, this could be a once in a lifetime opportunity, right?
That's
like,
exactly what I thought it was.
You're there. You're like, I'm going to do the thing, even if it sucks. And learn to accept that I can't control other people's behaviors, which I really wish that I could. I would love that, but it's sadly not how it works.
It's like a crash course for people with BPD. I swear to God, it's like throwing you in the deep end and like, best of luck, buddy. You're going to sink or swim.
Oh yeah.
There's so much opportunity, but another counselor told me in such a beautiful way. She's like, the community here is the best and the worst thing. It's the most beautiful part of Heartwood, and it's also the most difficult. And that's just a fact. It's never going to be one or the other. It's going to be both all the time. So there were always opportunities for me to practice what I was learning. Always. Too many. So that was the absolute beauty of it. And I realized too, like, yeah, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to fuck up. And I'm really paranoid. I hate making mistakes. I'm so hard on myself. I want to be a perfect
Yeah.
person all the time. I had to just accept that this was the right place to make these mistakes. This was the safe spot to do that. And I knew what I had right away. So it was really, really difficult. And then the other part was like, I am still an empathetic person. So when they explain, like, there's people coming in off the street.
Yeah.
It's like they're not going to have the same level of house care as you do. And that just really brought me down a few pegs. Like, okay, sorry about my privilege. Sorry. You're right. I'm so sorry.
But it's hard when you've never not had that. It's so hard to wrap your head around. And like, yeah, of course that's because we're privileged and like it's important that we acknowledge that. But it doesn't make it easy to go from like something that you've had your whole life to something that is completely different in any context.
Yeah, and I was so jealous of every single worker there going home. So jealous. When things are explained to you, like, yeah, it doesn't seem like a big deal. Like, I realize what I'm talking about, dishes in the sink. There's like a cigarette butt left on, and whatever. There's just all these little things that really bothered me. And when I said them out loud, they seemed tiny and little. But this is your personal space for
Yeah,
90
for 90
days.
days. It's a
Like,
long ass time.
yeah, this is all you have. So it
And
wasn't,
you're at your like most sensitive point of your life.
and everyone
Because you're
is.
and everyone is 100%. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. And you're also putting together a bunch of like, I'm assuming, I'm just basing this on my experience, not at Heartwood, but at a different center, where like you're putting together a whole bunch of people that are all a bit weird. Like
Yeah,
myself included, I'm weird. I am
totally.
annoying as hell. Like I know that about myself. And then you've got 10 of us that are living together 24 hours a day. Like, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. And I think Heartwood's what, 40 people almost? So like that's a lot of people.
30. So when I first got
Okay.
there, I think my friend and who I am so fortunate because my friend who came in the same day as me had been to Heartwood before. So I had like my own personal
Oh,
guide.
amazing.
I know, because I was like, she showed me around, like, what do you mean this and that? Like, if I didn't have her, I don't know what I would have done. Like, she made it less scary for me. And she's like, yeah, that rule's a rule, but and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, she made it really, really manageable. But it is like, it's the best human experiment ever. And I did just learn so much about myself, which, like, I obviously did, because how can you not in that kind of environment? And I'm so self aware. I'm painfully self aware. It's annoying how self aware I am. So I learned so much about myself, but I learned so much about humans in general. Because, like, how people act and react, because I had to, things that were annoying me and bothering me about other people, I had to learn to have empathy for, and had to have that what is DBT reframe skill. And if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have survived. Like, I just had to. I didn't want to be angry anymore. I've been angry my entire life, and it takes so much energy, and I didn't want to have this self-pity anymore. I was tired of the cycle. I've been tired. Like, I had this 5-year cycle throughout my life, since I was 18, since I was diagnosed with depression, that it inevitably 5 years later, after some big event, I would be right back there. And I was just so sick of it. And I put everything into that program. Everything. Like, my one friend at my halfway meeting, it's like, we know that you're like really trying, Anita, because you talk about how much it annoys you that other people aren't trying.
Yeah, that too.
But,
That
like,
is hard.
yeah, I knew what I had. I knew what I had. I knew that we don't get this in rural areas at all. very far from it. And I don't know if other people knew that. And also, like, that's my very narrow-minded perspective. It's so easy for me to
Yeah.
say, like, how are you guys not trying, when I have no idea what that person's dealing with.
Right. They might be worried about where they're going to go when they get discharged because they're going back to the street and now it's going to be the winter and it's going to be free or like whatever, right? Like it's so hard. I get it too. I felt the same way when I did DBT the first time. Is like I came every single day with like all of my homework 100% completed. Like, you know what I mean? And I was just like, you guys, what are you doing?
I know.
But also, I also know so many people that are like, I've been to DBT 3 times and it took till the 3rd time for me to be like, oh yeah, I should do this. Like, whatever, fair enough. I'm just like a weird perfectionist that has problems with not letting go of that. So like, that's also my own issue. And I know it pisses other people off too. Right?
Yeah, I get it, but yeah. That perspective is hard to have though, when it's just like it's so ingrained in that drive is so
100%.
ingrained in us. And that's what's frustrated me throughout my life is like when I was a teenager, like I said, like I didn't even touch alcohol till I was 16, which in my town is redonkulous. I don't think I smoked pot till I was like 17, maybe 16. No, 17. Anyways, but hockey was my love. Like it was just, I absolutely had my heart. And I would practice my slap shot in the backyard. I would be in math class, figuring out lines and who to put together, even though that's not my decision. I'm not the coach. Like that was my whole life and my drive. And the one thing that kept me from succeeding was my mental health, because my parents were like, dude, you suck at tryouts because you don't work out in the summer. And then the other coaches are like, shit, I should have, like a month later, they see me on another team. Like it was a 1-0 game. The coach cut me. My friends were on the other team. So they heard the coach say this when I scored. He's like, why did I cut that kid? But I got sucked at tryouts. Like, my parents were right. Why are they putting all this money and effort in if I'm not giving in too? But I just didn't do it. And like, it really bothers me. Like, why didn't I do that? I loved it so much. I had the drive. Why didn't I do it? And the only thing I can think of is I couldn't be in my head. I couldn't just go and run. That was traumatizing to me, of just running and being with my thoughts. And like, I couldn't live with that. Like now I know I love cardio and working out, but I do intervals. I can't just go straight running. I wish I would have known that then. But it's like anything. I lived in Fernie for 2 years, and then I went back to Ontario to go to music school, and I was taking music business and live production and live sound. And I was a nerd. I was like working with the class ahead of me and putting everything into it. And then after a year of being in the city, substances, and started I loved going to bars by myself. That was like my favorite thing. I don't know why. I was the anonymity.
Right. Anonymity? Yeah.
And
yeah.
I dropped out, and I wanted to go back, and I never did because I realized I need to live in a city to have that career. So there's been all these points in my life where like I wanted to and could have achieved great things, and mental health got in the way. So it's just been so frustrating. I knew I had this in me. Like, why am I not achieving? We have a family of like high achievers and intellectuals. Why am I the weird gay kid that's just living in a ski town?
Right.
Bumming from job to job. Like, that's not what I was supposed to be. I applied to university for like journalism, law, and political science, and I got into everything. That's what I was going to do. And I went to university for a year, but again, didn't go. I came out over Christmas. My mental health went to shit. Didn't go back. Didn't see myself utilizing the program anymore. So there's been all these times where like I could have been and should have been successful. I had everything lined up to be successful. I had the privilege. I had the drive. I was supposed to be someone in my mind. I was very much supposed to be someone.
You're still someone.
Me.
Here you are sharing your story. You're someone. It's just a different someone than you thought you were going to be.
Oh, it's a very different someone than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. And like now that I'm out of Heartwood, it's like, hey, I need purpose. I can't just go and get any old job again. I need to go back to school. Like, that's it. I'm not a university kid. I'm just not. So I'm in a human service worker program right now. And so far, like, I realize how much I love school again. Like, how much of a nerd I am. And like, Lord knows if this is what I'll actually do or use or whatever. And hopefully the goal is to be a youth worker, because I know that other kids have a hard time. I knew that growing up. I saw that growing up.
You were that kid. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was that kid. But like, even I was the kid with the privilege who still had a rough time. But then that girl who took her own life, that was me as well. Like, I don't want that to happen to other kids just because of the house they grew up in. So, like, that's hopefully where I'm going to go now. Lord knows if these things are going to pan. This is life. Life does not.
Yeah, no. You know what? Yeah, there's only so much you can do, and what that is usually just do your best in the moment and hope it works out. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know.
No, that's pretty much it. It did at Heartwood, and I'm so very grateful, not just for the program, but for every single staff member there, and specifically for my counselor who figured me out. Like, I cannot explain how intelligent and intuitive this woman is, and she just had me dialed and knew, like, give me facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you tell me,
don't play around it. Like, just tell me the truth, and I'll figure it out, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me why I act a certain way, and I'll be, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I'm not a horrible person. Like, there's a reason that there was such a small thing. We ended up having to go into 2 dining groups for every single meal because there just wasn't enough space in the dining room. So they had group 1 and group 2, and I was first in line for every single meal. I love food.
Yep, same.
It was hospital food, and I was still first in line every single meal. So I was like, can we both know that I need to be separated from this person? Like, I really want to be in the first group, and I realize that I'm saying, like, I need to be separated from this person, but also I'm more important and I need to be in the first group. Like, I don't want to sound like that, but I'm presenting facts. And the next day I went, and she was in group 1 and I was in group 2. I kind of lost my shit internally. Like, I just get quiet. Everybody knew when I was not okay in Heartwood. They knew.
Yeah.
My face gives me away. And I was like, why the hell did I have such a strong reaction to something so stupid? She made it so clear. She's like, well, you've been screwed over by the system so many times. So when she knew it before I even said anything. That is exactly where my mind went. Oh, I'm the one that's more stable, or like a little bit more reasonable, so I have to be the one that gets shoved aside again. So it was this stuff. Yeah. She made it very obvious and very clear to me.
The staff there are truly, like, I mean, every time I go there, I'm in awe at how amazing the staff are.
Yeah. I think my friend and I made I made cards for like 10, or wrote out cards for like 10 different staff members. And the 2 of us like handed out candies or whatever, because we went in the same day. So we were leaving the same day.
Nice.
They're just like the greatest kind of human beings there are. They're so full of empathy and care and genuine authenticity of both of those things. Like, they're not bullshitting you. When they sit down and listen to you, they're not doing it because it's their job. They actually want to. And I've never seen that anywhere in the system. It was so obvious to me. I was like, do not fuck this up. Do not fuck this up. Do not like break any rules.
Yeah, I'm actually going to follow everything to the book.
Yeah.
So does that provide you with a little bit more hope about the system as a whole? Or do you still think the rest of the system is fucked and Heartwood is the anomaly?
Yeah, more or less. I feel like BCMHSUS is the exception, because everyone I've talked to,
which for people who don't know what that is, because most people aren't, BC Mental Health and Substance Use Services. So they do like the more like high acuity mental health and substance use treatment in British Columbia, Canada. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
They have a few other facilities. Like, aren't there some
Correctional facilities. They do like
that are
the mental health. Yeah, they do healthcare there. They do forensic psychology, and then other like mental health substance use treatment centers.
and then they do like research and why am I
Yeah,
saying
lots
this?
of
You
other
know better
stuff.
than me.
Yeah, no, lots of other cool stuff too. I honestly, I don't know as much, like, because I don't know everything, but yeah, like some cool like research around mental health substance use, criminalization, lots of cool patient engagement stuff. Where like just trying to make the system better. It's a great organization, truly. Like, it's the kind of place where I feel like there's a genuine desire to be like very much focused on what people with lived experience actually need and want, and are willing to listen to what they need and want, as opposed to be like, well, that sucks, but this is how the system works, which like we've all heard, like people with lived experience have all heard that 100,000 times. And I feel like it feels different with them.
Yeah, like the history of social work in general, of people being like, this is what's wrong with you and this is what you need. Like,
Totally.
it's definitely, I mean, it's changing, but yeah, so like you said, they have like patient with lived experience stuff. But when I found that out too, I was like, oh my God, I don't just have to like scream into the void anymore about
No.
how screwed up the system is. These people are actually going to listen to my input about like whatever engagement it is they have going on. So like the one that I did where we met was speaking at a staff orientation, and they were like, yeah, okay, so you're going to speak for like 10 minutes and you can say whatever you want to say. I'm like, well, there's no like
You're like, what?
template
Barriers? Yeah. You're like, anything? That's a dangerous game.
You're not exactly. Do you have any idea what you've done?
Yeah.
It was definitely dangerous. They're like, okay, I guess I just choose what's important to me for new staff to know. Cool, right on, sounds great. And the big thing that I wanted other staff to know was, it was obvious to me that staff was supported. And all these other places that I'd been, like I remember the psych ward in Cranbrook here once, I was talking to one of the nurses and we're having a great conversation and getting somewhere, and then like you could hear screaming in the background and we just like lock eyes. I'm like, just go, we both know that person needs to and I was like, what's happening to that person outside of work? Like, they're not getting supported here. I don't want to put more of my stuff on them because it's just one more, like they're clearly dealing with things here. Like I didn't feel comfortable. Like, as silly as that sounds, like I brought myself here. I want help, yet
Yeah.
I can't do that because I can't do that to this person who's not supported in any way.
Right.
That's what I wanted staff to know. Like, you're with an organization that, as far as I can tell, as a patient, has support for their staff, and that means everything. It was just amazing to be able to say what I wanted to say without any parameters whatsoever. Like, they didn't even like just send us a pre-edit or something. Like, nothing.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Genuine trust in people with lived experience, and that is wild. I've been doing like patient voice stuff, like, being a person with lived experience for over 10 years. Like, I started when I was like 18, 19. It is very different. Like, I have been told, like, don't talk about self-harm, don't talk about suicide, don't talk about whatever, because it like triggers people. And you're like, but that's part of my story. People with lived experience know how to talk to people with lived experience. Coming into this conversation, we didn't have I don't know anything about you, right? We talked for an hour and 25 minutes. Here we are, because we can bond over stuff that like we have mutual experiences. And it's a really cool opportunity to like, just, you can be you are such an awesome person, but now you can be an awesome person who like shares your story to the world if you want to, or not. And that's fine.
Aw, thanks. Well, I think like the fact that you have your own stuff and you're still like working with BCMHSUS and then doing the whole like super feelers, not just podcast and peer support group on your own, is just mind blowing to me. That like, it's amazing
that they let me do that. Truly, when I got offered the job, my first thing was like, if I'm not allowed to do this, I can't work here. And they're like, no, of course you can do that. We want you to do that. That's why we want to hire you. And I was like, oh,
Are you
okay.
lying to me right now? I just
It's like, this is
backward.
Suspicious. I don't know. Yes. I'm not used to this. I don't know. But yeah, no, it's truly a good organization.
Yeah.
Okay. You wanted to talk a little bit about gender.
Yeah. Yeah. So
let's get into that.
I started thinking after Heartwood, like again, I was always unsafe until I went to Heartwood, and there's so many things opening up in my mind now. Like just the way I carry myself, how I communicate, like there's all these different things that I'm really questioning my motivations behind. Like why do I act this way? Is it because of the persona I've been trying to put on? Or is it because this is who I actually am? So I've really been trying to get to the core authentic self. And I think that kind of spurred this voice in the back of my head. It was really weird the way it came up. I just look at myself in the mirror and just like, what the hell was that? And this is like maybe 2 months after Heartwood. It wouldn't go away. And every time I saw myself in the mirror, I was like, you might be a they. It's like, what a weird
You
phrase.
might be a they.
I know.
I love it. You're like, is this a new mental health issue that's coming up that's now I'm suddenly talking to myself? Or is this, oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, fuck, man, I gotta deal with this son of a bitch. I got a lot going on right now. I got a bad knee problem that's really like screwing up my coping mechanisms. Like I can't.
Yeah.
Oh,
now my whole identity, like what?
Oh my
like
gosh.
that's a little bit more like serious than my knee. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And some people are like, is it really a big deal? Like, it's just, would you say that to somebody who's gay? Like, is it really a big deal? Do you need to know if you're gay or not? Like, it's just the fucking core of who I am. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And how I relate to the rest of the human race. Yeah, other than that, but that's cool.
Yeah. So I'm like, son of a bitch, man. I can't ignore this. And this is just one of the many things that I think I've suppressed. And growing up, like I was, like my mom and I obviously talk a lot about things that happened in my childhood that like maybe one of us remembers, one of us doesn't. She would always say like, oh yeah, that's how we knew you were gay. And there were things where I'm like, that's how I knew women were treated differently. Like when I said, I want to be a boy because boys get to do all the fun things. Or like the way I dressed. She said something about she called them jammer shorts, which apparently are just like big shorts. I know. I might
like
be
the
from
basketball shorts of our like high school years.
I
like,
believe.
Is that what we're going for?
Yeah,
okay,
I think
jammer
so.
shorts. Never heard of that. Okay, cool.
Makes me sound like a jammer. Like, anyways, yeah. Like apparently, I was so excited to go to school in them, and then when I came home, I wasn't so excited. So there were obviously things that I don't even remember that have been suppressed. That I have no idea. So it's like, Jesus, where do I even start? Like, how do I cipher through this social conditioning to figure out this true self? And this is like when I hear the argument of trans kids can change their bodies just not till they're 18. I'm like, well, man, I knew who I was. That's when I knew who I was until all you adults came in and started telling me who I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, man, I think I'm non-binary, which I don't want to go with that one. But like genderqueer, because queer is just fun to use.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're all so different. They all have different connotations for people within the community, for people like outside the community.
Mm-hmm.
But then I ask myself, like, am I really, for all intents and purposes, we'll just go with non-binary, or am I like perpetuating this idea of what society wants us to believe is femininity because I'm masculine?
Yes. I don't fit into that mold, so therefore I can't be female. Yeah. Interesting.
I'm just like, oh, why do I have to be so deep? This is annoying.
You're like, can the person just talking to me in my head just tell me one way or another? Because that would be very helpful. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. That's fascinating.
And nobody does. That's the thing.
No?
It's like, where do you, nobody can figure this out for me. This is very much like, nope, this is a big self journey. And where the hell do I start? So I'm just like, I'm really trying to choose clothes based on what I want to wear, not fearing for my safety or not. Like that has always been a
Yeah.
thing.
Do you still feel that way
Yes.
in where you live?
Yes. 100%.
I'm
100%
sorry.
because
That sucks.
it's small town, and it's a mining town originally that has like turned into a tourist town. So
Right.
yeah, it's
So
kind of
there's still a lot of that like trades mentality running around.
Yeah, and
Oh,
there's people surprise you. Somebody who looks stereotypically like somebody who might be judgmental of women, queer community, whatever, comes out of nowhere and is like cool. And then like I think about my dad, and I would be like angry as shit if anybody ever judged my dad by the way he looks because he's an old white guy.
yeah.
Like you would feel that way when he's like the most progressive. When I told my parents like, shit, I might be binary. I was like, well, that's gonna be a fun conversation. My
Yeah.
dad was just like, he told me this story about I forget what province it is, but one of the MPs in one of the like eastern provinces like Newfoundland or Nova Scotia or something. He's like, yeah, they tried to call another election because they thought they would win a majority because of the hatred, and they got voted out. So that was like my dad's way of telling me he was supportive.
That's amazing. I
Yeah,
love that. You're
stupid
like, cool. That's a weird analogy, but we're good.
family of intellectuals. It's yeah.
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 Yeah. So they're not like I know my parents are always accepting. It's just like really sifting through this, and like even my hair, you can see my hair short. I didn't get that cut this way until February, March. I purposely did it right before
Like
Heartwood.
right before Heartwood. Yeah.
Yeah, because if I didn't like it.
Oh, it would grow out. That's actually kind of genius, to be honest.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
smart.
Yeah, I do believe
Yeah.
so. But all my friends, even strangers, look at me like I feel like you've always had that haircut. Like somebody in the chair next to me was like, I feel like you've always had that haircut. It just makes sense. It feels like me. And I still am like concerned. And I know that I don't necessarily look face wise like feminine or masculine. And growing up a lot, I got confused a lot of the times, like, oh, the little boy. And I'm wearing a 2-piece bathing suit and you called me a little boy. Like, what the hell? And I'm kind of like, I've got a bit of I gain muscle easily like my mom. So I've got a bit of a bigger upper body. So there's all these different things that maybe it's just like me looking at myself in the mirror. I don't just see a woman physically. I don't think it's just that. I think it's deeper. Like I can tell in my mannerisms and the way I carry myself. I change my voice. This is going to be weird talking now because am I changing my voice?
Now you're going to be overthinking it. It's like when you're like taking a photo and you're like, what do I do with my hands?
Yeah.
It's like this, right? Is that normal? Is this normal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buckets? Do we do buckets? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. Totally. So
So you change your voice like in certain context or in context?
Yeah. My mom would always say she can tell what kind of mood I'm in depending on my voice, and I think that's really obvious. Like I know it too when I'm calling her. Like I avoid calling her when I'm not doing well because I know she's going to hear it in my voice. And she's provinces away, and she really hates being provinces away. She hates it.
I bet.
But yeah, like I remember as a kid hating my voice. Like I had this annoying voice and I hated the way it sounded, but I was changing it on purpose because I have a naturally low voice. And I'm starting to get more comfortable with it again. It comes and goes. I think it depends who I'm talking to, what kind of mood I'm in, what I'm talking about. I'm getting better. It's so weird now. I'm so conscious of it.
You're like, now I'm going to talk up here because this is my normal. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just really like, yeah, there's all these things about me that just tread a line and do not like fall on either side of the gender line. So like I made up a list. I'm like, hey, well, we got to start somewhere. Let's write out all the feminine traits we like about ourselves and all the masculine traits we like about ourselves. There's
Interesting.
not much on the feminine side.
Yeah.
At all. So that's kind of where I'm at. But
I think that's kind of the whole point is like it isn't a binary, right? Like, it's so much easier if we can put ourselves in one side or the other.
Yeah.
Like so much easier. But like I think nowadays we're starting to realize like that's not actually how human beings work. That's just like what society tells us human beings should be. So Yeah, I mean, not that it makes your kind of like internal self-discovery dilemma situation any easier, but it's like, it's interesting that you're like, I tread this line, and it's like, well, yeah, like that kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I was so freaked out by it at first, like the first time I said it out loud to a friend, and I was like, I can't believe I just said that, because I like told myself coming over here that I wasn't going to say anything, but it's one of my like most trusted friends. So it just came out, and then I was freaked out for like a week or two, and I was like, I need to talk to someone like legit. And so I like messaged my Heartwood counselor, like, I need you. You're the one that understands me. And she's just like, it's not a big deal. And there's not like, this isn't an easy thing. Like, it's gonna, well, she didn't say it's not a big deal in an invalidating way. It's just like,
Right. Yeah.
calm
Like,
down.
it's okay. Yeah.
Like,
This is
freaking
normal.
out. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's the space that Heartwood is. Like, they're very accepting. And then I reminded myself and her of like, well, I do like giving a middle finger to society and all of its expectations and
Yeah.
norms and standards. I love breaking that boundary. Love it. So I'm like, is this just another, like, am I really just trying to, am I actually non-binary, or am I just like, screw you, society, and all your stupid standards?
I feel like it's probably not just that, would be
Yeah,
my
probably.
guess.
Yeah. It's not
But
fun. Yeah.
yeah. No, yeah. No, there's got to be easier ways to tell society that they should just start over and give up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like looking up drag king stuff, and
Love drag kings.
I've never really knew it was a thing. Like, I kind of did and didn't, but you don't
It's
really.
like coming more so. You don't see it much, but like I think nowadays it's more common, at least in Vancouver. And it's funny, I live in Abbotsford, which is also the Bible Belt, but we have like a pretty big drag community out here, which is very interesting. Lots of drag kings. And they have this really cool, I should find it. I don't remember who posted it, but it was like a Vancouver drag kings spread in some magazine or something. And it had like 100 of them. It was so cool. If I see it, I'll send it to you.
Yes, please do.
Awesome.
Please do. Yeah. I like, and the thing is, I don't know if I would like it or not. I think I would. There's still the shame of like, you're not supposed to like this. Like, my muscular upper body, I loved and hated it, but I always hated it. And I think I hated it because I loved it. Like, and I wasn't supposed to love it.
Right.
So there's that. And I love living on the edge and pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. That is where I live. Like, that is how I find myself. Like, I did a lingerie show. Our town offers really weird things. Every year there's a lingerie show where only the dudes show up. I guess they don't have that anymore since the Royal closed. But then there's also the Mr. Royal, where only women are allowed, and it's amateur male strip show. So you got this like Australian ski bum who's a janitor at the ski hill dancing with a mop.
That checks out, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh my God, the estrogen levels are terrifying. Like, I'm like, I need to be at the back of the room. I'm going to get trampled. Like, I am scared right now. I do. Then that's another like red flag.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to be back here.
Why do I want to be the guy on stage? The one like in the crowd.
Yeah.
I like the way the girls are looking at this guy right now. I want to be that guy.
Oh, that's hilarious. And like, you're also probably at this point now where like you've kind of dealt with so much of your other issues that like now this is coming up because you've figured out the like other shit. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
so it's like,
no, for sure.
Maybe this is the next part, and it'll take another 6, 7, 8, 9 years to figure out, but that's okay.
Yeah, you're right. And then like, even my counselor is like, really, you're going to throw this in there now? Like, you've got a lot of deep psychological things going on. And if it wasn't for my knee, I would be in such a different place. And it's a real big kick in the nads, because I've already been screwed over by this. You know what I told myself? I wasn't going to use that phrase on this podcast.
Oh my God, I have not heard anybody say that in so long. That's incredible.
No, okay. I had a conversation with myself, and I just betrayed my earlier self.
Love. Okay. So your knee, what happened to your knee? Like a skiing injury?
That's the thing. Something actually happened when I was at Heartwood, because I had a real routine going on there. I worked out every morning. Oh, except for Sundays, you had to have a rest day. one morning after my workout, an hour after, I was just like, some hurts down there. And I've always been really in touch with my body and injuries. So I was like, something's wrong. Like, I waited 2 days. I'm like, it hasn't bounced back. Something's wrong. And this was like right at the end of my treatment. So they're like, hey, wait 2-3 weeks. Don't work out for 2-3 weeks. I'm like, what did you just say?
Yeah,
That is my coping. And I did it. And I got back home and I went to physio, and it was already really difficult to deal with because that was a huge coping mechanism. And I was just like, okay, I can come back to Fernie and start getting back into the things I love. And then I couldn't.
except
But
this. Yeah.
I worked on it, got it better. I'm really adamant about physio. And they said I could go back to playing soccer. And I was like, no, I can't. Like, I just knew I couldn't. And I waited for hockey. As much as I love both, hockey wins. And then my second time out at hockey, I heard it. And I knew every time I went from skating forwards to backwards and doing that transition and twisting, and it's like, something's going to happen here. And sure as shit, it did. And like, I went to emerge the next day and stuff. But yeah,
wow.
now like I just had to go to Golden today, which is like 3.5 hours away for an appointment. Roads are horrible. Had to stay last night. But anyways, like it's just my trifecta of coping, of socializing, getting outside and exercising. I can sit in a chair and lift weights. So I do that because I need something. But I can't.
It's not the same though.
No, like
can you swim?
I mean, I guess I could. Now that I have the car, I could get myself up there, but I don't know how good that is for it. Apparently getting on a bike
maybe not.
is good for it. Like, so if I go to the gym and get on the bike, I've never been a gym person. I don't like the vibes. I work out at home. It's super judgy. I just had a worry of like, are people going to be like, that's the women's change room?
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Fuck. But I mean, I guess I've been in town long enough, people would know. But yeah, it's really thrown a wrench. I was like doing so well out of treatment and doing all the right things and using all my coping mechanisms. And now I've had all my nearest and dearest coping mechanisms stolen from me. And because the system failed me again. So
because of your like the physical health side of it.
Yeah, because the first time nobody listened to me when I said there's something really wrong here. So that's the kick in the nuts part.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I did so well. I was putting in so much work, and like I was textbook, man. I was really doing all the right things. I haven't worked for a year, and I really need to get back to work. I can't live off of the assistance I'm getting. And now I can do like 4-hour cash shifts. So that on top of the gender thing.
Yeah.
My counselor is just like, you really gotta.
Yeah. Can we put a pin in this for like 6 months? Pick one or the other. No. Yeah. I mean, it never works like that, does it?
No.
But, I mean, the fact that you're still doing well and your physical health has taken a turn is like impressive.
Thanks.
That'll get you.
When I was thinking about my story, and like I don't know what it is besides getting screwed over by the system and still being resilient. And you gotta add the privilege part in there. The privilege doesn't save me from BPD, and it doesn't give me the treatment
or the system.
No.
As like I mean, there are components of it that help with the system, but if the system is still set up in a way that doesn't allow for even any level of financial privilege to really make a huge difference in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, totally. So if there's one saving grace that I've always had, it's my stubbornness, sheer determination, and
hell yeah,
knowing that like no one's going to save me but me. That's the only person who's doing this, and no one's going to do it for me. And my one friend has told me so many times this year. Well, I wouldn't say so many times, like five times, 10 times. She's like, I'm so proud of you. And like, I know I've said that like a few times, and I hope it hasn't lost its meaning. And just like, shut up, dude. I love you so much. Like, how can I ask for anything more? I still have these people around me. I still have school. If I didn't have school, I'd be screwed. I still have something to do.
Put your energy into.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still have all the things that I learned. It's really like it's kind of like someone stuck a stick in the spokes of my bike and I'm just like, nope, you're not going anywhere for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have the bike, and that the stick's like gonna break at some point, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
get
you
back
can get
to
the
it.
stick out. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah. It's easy to say this. Like I have my moments. I know I am a strong person. I hate affirmations. I've never been an affirmations person.
Yeah, me neither.
I have to put them up around the house. I'm just like, I'm that guy now. I'm that guy. I hated this stuff.
I don't even do that. I just am like, nah.
I know, but I had to because I was starting to get like, I don't want to say in a dark place again, but like I know that slide, and
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
always so much easier to dig. It's so easy to fall down the hole. It's so hard to get back
Yeah.
out again. So
Yeah.
the sooner I
If you
stop
can
it, the
prevent
better.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
So things like I am capable, I really need that one because default setting of you suck, negative brain,
Mm-hmm.
it's the self-hatred thing, and just that I can't do things when I know it's not true. That is a really, really big one for me. I actually had that above my bed at Heartwood for most of the time. I know. And everyone's like, that is dope. Yeah, it's for you
Yeah.
too, man. We're all capable.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm doing what I got to do, even the things I don't like doing.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I'm not going back there. I've put too much work in. I've put way too much work in on myself, and I'm, I can't. I can't. It's just, yeah, that simple.
You've got this. I believe in you.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I do
Well,
too.
I'm glad. That's the most important part because sometimes it's really hard to believe in yourself in these contexts.
Yeah, yeah. Most of the times I do.
Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you were like really wanting to talk about?
Girl that took her life that I grew up with was really important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the gender thing and talking about my privilege, those were big things. And I think we've pretty much touched it all. Honestly, I mean,
All
if we
right.
haven't,
Yeah, true. 2 hours. Yeah. Well, if you ever think of something that we didn't talk about, we can always come back and do this again because I have loved every minute of this conversation.
Aw,
I'm so glad we met. Like, what a weird coincidence of situations, but yeah,
I know.
the world just works out.
I was like, does, she saw me speak for like 5-10 minutes. Does she even know if I have a cool story?
It doesn't matter.
You like,
Everybody has a cool story.
no, you put a lot of trust in this.
Yeah, that's why I don't do any sort of pre-interview, pre-conversation. I mean, for context, I do ask like, do you have any boundaries via email, and I give like context to how we're going to do this, but no prep, no outline, no questions prepared because everybody's story is cool. You just got to get there.
Yeah, no,
So,
totally. The only thing we
yeah.
haven't covered is your favorite question.
Oh my God, good call. I can't believe I forgot that. That's so funny. Okay. That's hilarious. I was actually going to forget that. Okay, my favorite question. What is your favorite thing about having BPD or being a super feeler?
I feel like I can appreciate the bright moments in life in ways that other people can't because I've been to the dark places. So I know what it is to be truly happy as well as truly depressed. But like that's a scale. Like even yesterday when I was driving out to Golden, I was lost without cell service. Like I knew I was going the wrong way. I'm like, we're just gonna keep on this road till we find civilization.
In the snow.
Yeah. But then I like turn a corner and this like most beautiful view. It was in Kootenai National Park. So like not a horrible place to be lost. It was just gorgeous. And I don't remember, I think I was listening to folk punk. Music is obviously a really, really big coping mechanism for me. So like whatever it was just like it was that perfect moment and I almost started crying. It was like this is one of those moments that were like everything sucks about your knee and there's some shitty shit going on. But then there's this. And if I don't appreciate this, what the hell am I doing? That's
And you can appreciate it so hard. That's
so hard.
Right? Yeah. You turn around the corner and you're like, wow, this is everything that I needed. Like, people probably don't feel that, normal people.
That's just it.
I mean, I say normal people. I shouldn't say that. But you know what I mean.
I do.
People that aren't super feelers. Yeah.
Yeah. I was the normies scare the shit out of me.
I know. They're terrifying.
They're just
like,
better
how
at
is that
hiding
even
things.
possible?
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there are some people that are truly like normal, and I'm not. I wouldn't want to be them. Don't get me wrong. That is not who I want to be. But it's bizarre that there are people that I think are actually like that. That's a very strange existence. I can't
They're
imagine.
the weird ones.
They're the weird ones, 100,000%.
This has been awesome. This has been so much fun, man.
Yay. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm so happy we had this conversation. And yeah, I'll send you an edited version when I get a chance. Probably be a couple weeks. And then we'll chat more about what this looks like. And I'm so happy you're sharing your story with everybody and at BCMHS US and here and all sorts of things. So it's been such a pleasure to get to know you, Anita.
So same. Thank you for all you do, and I'm definitely I didn't have it in me for the super feeler group today, but I'm getting to the next one.
Oh, that's okay. Come to the next one. I would love that. That would be great. You'll love them. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Super Feeler podcast. Today's episode was recorded on the unceded and traditional territory of the Matsqui and Sumas First Nations. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps me reach more listeners like you, and we're always looking for improving the podcast. Remember, you can always stay connected with me on social media. You can follow us. The show notes will have all of the details for Instagram profiles. If you want to support the podcast and help me continue to bring great content, please consider joining the Super Feeler community on Patreon. Your support really means the world to me, and there's a variety of different options for support, including some free ones. For all information about the Super Feelers Club, which is the peer support that we run, including upcoming events and resources, head over to Eventbrite or laurieedmondson.com for more information. And if you have a topic that you want me to cover or a guest you'd love to hear from, please send me the suggestions. Always happy to hear them. Until next time, keep on super feeling and living authentically. This is Laurie signing off of the Super Feeler podcast.